Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 2 of the ICA Cricket Show, brought to you by the Indian Cricketers Association, the only body to represent former Indian cricketers in the country, officially represent. It's a great privilege for me to introduce the panel for the day. Ashok Malhotra, former Indian cricketer and President ICA. Welcome, Ashok, to the
Thank you.
show.
Thank you.
Yajurvindra Singh, good to have you back, Sunny, former Indian cricketer and Director, Indian Cricketers Association. Sunny, pleasure to have you again.
Thank
We
you.
have a new face today, Kirat Damani, all the way from Gujarat, Ahmedabad. Kirat is former Gujarat captain, currently national selector, and interestingly, he's also a lawyer by profession. He's promised not to take us to court because he doesn't litigate. He says he's more of corporate law. Welcome, Kirat. Look forward to having your views. Yeah, great. Gentlemen, ladies, basically the idea is to discuss the WTC final, which just got over yesterday. Somewhat sad that India couldn't get across the line, but it was obviously a great test match. Despite the curtailment, we saw the ebbs and flows of that only test cricket can bring to that. I mean, the beauty of test cricket was a complete view. Bad weather, rains, poor light, nothing came in the way of a proper test, and we got a result. We were all worried about what happens as a draw. So I will get down straight to it. Ashok, I will come to you first. Your overall view before we get to specifics on the match. What's your feeling? Are you sad? I mean, having come this far, the Indian team did tremendously well to get into the final, and then for this kind of a result.
Satish, I'm not sad. I think, we reached the finals. We played good cricket throughout the year. I don't feel, okay, it was a bad day in the office. We are known to lose the first test match of the series anyway. So that is another thing. If it had been best of three, which Ravi has been harping about, then probably we would have won the World Championship. But first test is always iffy for India. We are slow starters. And secondly, not to forget, the conditions favored New Zealander bowlers more than our bowlers. Our bowlers are more of a seam bowlers, and whereas New Zealanders are swing bowlers. It suited them to perfectly. And especially winning the toss and taking advantage of that. So that has been a very, very good thing. But I would still say our batting has always found wanting when the conditions are a little bit difficult, when ball swings around, darts around, or even if spins. So that has been a little bit undoing of modern day cricket. They are great players. There's no two ways about it. But when, yesterday, I understand that Rishabh Pant was playing his kind of cricket, but you were trying to save a test match. You're not trying to win a test match. I know, another 30, 40 runs, but you can't get runs in England like that. You can get runs like that in Australia where ball comes through, where in England ball darts around. So that has been a little bit of thinking, and then the team selection. I don't know, Ravindra Jadeja, was it a good idea? It might have been a better idea to have an extra medium pacer or maybe an extra batsman. So Jadeja just bowled 6 or 7 overs in the entire match. He's a wonderful cricketer, but the fact is horses for courses policies should have worked. And I think India probably, because they play such good cricket, they always thought they are the champions. They are going to win. They were the favorites. But they forgot that New Zealand has already played 2 test matches. They are warmed up, and definitely that suited them. And how much practice you might do, but the match practice is totally different, and that suited New Zealand, and that was to their advantage.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Sunny, when we were discussing the other day, one of these things was the playing 11, and we discussed on the original match day.
Correct. Yeah.
The match was put off, entire day's play washed out, and they knew the weather conditions, how it's going to be. We stuck to the same playing 11. So, do you think? I mean, I know we're talking hindsight now because we agreed to the playing 11 that day. We were also talking about Jadeja being in the side more as a batsman. At number 7 was playing a bigger role as a batsman. But looking back, and just the fact that the match did not take place on day 1, do you think we could have had a change? And your overall views on the test too?
I still stand by that the best team was put onto the ground. Jadeja is, as you've seen, become the number 1 all-rounder, ICC all-rounder as of today. So, I mean, you have the best all-rounder in the world, on paper at least, and you have Ashwin, who is the highest wicket taker in the series, in this World Series. So, I mean, I don't think there was anything wrong in the selection part of it because they are the two best sort of options where spin is concerned. Because the last 2 days they were expecting it to be dry and spinning as well because of that additional day. So I don't think that the team selection was an issue. Yeah, retrospectively we can sit back and say we needed four bowler as such. A medium pacer, but I don't feel that was the thing. And remember, our batting would have become very weak, and even Virat Kohli emphasized on the same thing, that exactly why he made this decision. So and Jadeja did pretty well in the first innings. I think overall, they say good guys also win. So I mean, New Zealand is a team with very good guys. They're dedication and their maturity. That's what Ashok tried to bring in about Pant and everyone else. The maturity that Williamson showed in every area of the game was what actually came as an advantage to them. The way they batted in difficult conditions. He hardly got 3 or 4 runs in about 45 minutes or even more than that. That needs really thinking, all throughout throughout your batting as such, and that sort of a commitment and that sort of a mindset is what I think New Zealand had a little upper hand on us, bowling wise as well as batting.
Yeah, Kirat, I'll come to you.
Yeah.
You see, based on this particular chat, Ashok also said that we didn't go to the match with enough match practice. The trend in the last 2-3 years of this current Indian team, the management, they succeeded also with that. We can't deny that. Is that they do not get proper opposition when they have first-class games, tour games like earlier. So they decide that they'll internalize and play within each other. And even now, for the coming series in England, they're going to do the same thing. They have a 25-man squad because of the COVID restriction. They're going to play only among themselves. But doesn't that take away something, facing an opposition where you can get out, or the bowlers coming and actually bowling to a new batsman whom he doesn't know much about? He has to think instead of bowling to those people. What's your take on this scenario?
See, I think overall, I very well agree with what Ashok said, that, it's very difficult to just step in a test match and expect the players to be in sync with a lot of things, no matter how many games you have played, on a practice basis. But New Zealand did have an edge over having played a few games in England. And having fielded first, sometimes tactically, not literally because the ball is moving and there's a moisture in the wicket, but sometimes taking the field first gives you the time to get in sync and alignment with the conditions, and then when you probably bowl first and then your batting is ready to, kind of be in sync with the wicket and in the match groove, because it's a big match, it's a one-off match, it's not a series. So eventually we are talking about a do or die situation in a one-off match, and that, going into that without adequate match practice. And this is a very vulnerable Indian batting lineup, I believe. It's not one of those batting lineup that we had in late 90s and early 2000s, wherein we had people like Gambhir and Sehwag coming, and then we had Dravid, Sachin, Ganguly, Lakshman. That solidity we are no way near that. So right now, it's kind of a pretty vulnerable side, including what Ashok said about how Rishabh Pant. So that experience, that class, that quality, that temperament, that sort of trust that you could put on the batting, that they can kind of gather themselves into in every sort of situation. I think we still don't have that. We have probably Pujara and Kohli as our best bats in the middle order, but still, we probably yet not seen that consistent, terrific, series after series, season after season, what we saw in the last generation. So I think we've never come out of that dearth, that privilege that we had of a solid batting lineup in Test cricket. We have come out beautifully in the shorter format in T20 and 50 over games. But I think this is a different level altogether. And overall, having seen it, I believe that New Zealand deserved the way they played. I think they put their head down. Very well said that sometimes good guys also win. And Kane Williamson comes across as a very, very good student of the game, and he probably focuses very simplistically into his game. Is a very matured batsman and a captain both. And I thought that the batter team one, I would have probably, expected New Zealand to win more convincingly. I think we still put up a good show, having bundled them out in a very small score in the first innings. We could have ideally built upon a bigger score in the second innings and made a match out of it, after having gotten them out early in the first innings. But, in the hindsight, team selections and, the players we could have played, I still agree we could have, it was a proper team that we picked up. It's always great to have a medium pace all-rounder when you play in England, because that's an edge. We had two spinning all-rounders in Jadeja and Ashwin, both, if I may say, because Ashwin is right in there as a spin all-rounder. Sometimes a medium pace all-rounder is a very handy one. I haven't seen, after the great Kapil Dev, I haven't seen anyone, who has probably made it to that, medium pace or a fast bowling all-rounder in the Indian team as a consistent player. So I think good takeaways. We didn't play bad cricket, but I think still a very vulnerable batting lineup and a lot to work on, because this is the real cricket. It's not going to get easier from here on. So, and as Ashok said, that we are slow starters, but at this level, probably I doubt we have the opportunity of complaining. And with all the logistics that we have, probably we could have put on a better show.
And another thing, Satish, I would like to add is that we did not find an answer to Jameson. We were intimidated by his line, length, movement, and he being a big guy, 6'8". It is not easy to play against a guy bowling from that height. We all have been batsmen. We know how difficult it is when the guy is bowling from 6'8", and the way he was moving the ball both ways. I think he took the game away from us. He not only got wickets, he bottled us up. He checked the flow of runs. We are free-flowing players, except for Chiteshwar Pujara, and to a certain extent, Ajinkya Rahane, all are slow players. That has been a little bit of undoing also, because Chiteshwar has been struggling with his form. Ajinkya has not been as good as he has been. So the middle order kind of caves in, because Rohit still has to prove himself in alien conditions. Shubman Gill is still starting up. So you are left with the Virat Kohli, and Rishabh Pant in England still has to, on these kind of conditions, is still not very, very comfortable. So we had a little bit of, we were a little suspect in these kind of conditions, and Jameson, I think he was outstanding. I must say that they have unearthed a wonderful, wonderful bowler. They were all four different kind of bowlers, but Jameson stood out, and I think he took the game away from us. Even in the last day, when he took Cheteshwar and Virat out, he took the heart out of Indian batting.
Yeah, but I'm surprised here. Why did Jameson surprise us like this? We have trained, we have our people who, for example, we have people who have throw-ins. There are a left-arm guy from Sri Lanka who's been hired. He throws with his left hand to create that angle.
Correct.
Raghu throws with the right hand, they create pace. You have a bowling machine which can bowl at a particular height. If you see the first innings, somebody like Gill was standing outside the crease for Jameson, tried to counter, then he pushed him back. We were trying to react on the field to something which Jameson already done well against us in New Zealand. And he's somebody like Rohit, Virat Kohli spent a huge amount of money, RCB rather, to bring him because they knew all about him. But looked like we were not ready for him. That is something surprising to me.
Satish, all these are gimmicks. The machines just to improve you. At the end of the day, when you're in the middle, like what Ashok said and about Jameson, he bowls a beautiful line and length, and because of his height, he got that extra bounce. But Indian batsmen, over time, we've all suffered with this sort of bowling. You had McGrath, if you remember, who we all found very difficult. During my time, you had Hendrick in England, who was very difficult to bat against because he was consistently bowling exactly the line and length that Jameson was bowling. And I'm telling you, whatever, you cannot practice against something, you can try and skill yourself to it. But at the end of the day, that soft hand, the movement, you just have to be able to do it on your own. Sunil Gavaskar and so many others did it at the end of the day. And if you saw, whenever Jameson was bowling, we were always looking towards slips. Maybe somebody is going to edge it, that sort. Because he was keeping a wonderful line and length. And unfortunately, Shami bowled his heart out, I think. But none of our bowlers could bowl that line and length, which the New Zealander bowlers were getting. And again, it may have been the two matches that they played earlier, or they were in England for that much longer, that they had got the bowling, the length and their whole movement and their structure ready to bowl. And I think that's where we may have faltered, that we had not gone there earlier. And it may have, what you were just saying about earlier, now it's going to be a month before we start the series against England, and we are not going to be playing any matches. We should have played a few county games, because I mean, you can see people are still not totally comfortable with the English conditions, and we got stuck in that. I think more than anything else, I think our bowlers did a good job. I don't think in whatever they could do, but they were still not effective as what the New Zealand bowlers were. You could see the movement, you could see them making the ball talk. They were being able to get the right length they wanted to. And that's, I think, was the difference in both sides. Batting was always going to be difficult, and it did prove to be like that. But the bowling was where they outshone us.
And another thing Satish, I would add is that we are very, I don't know, we are going gaga over Shubman Gill.
Yeah.
We dropped Mayank Agarwal after one knock. Mayank Agarwal scored tons of runs. He did not get it easy. Then he scored more than 1,000 runs in 10, 15 test matches. He's averaging above 50. And everybody, every critic, every commentator, they go gaga over Shubman Gill. I know he's a very talented guy. I know he's a brilliant guy. But to turn talent into runs is a different ballgame. Then there are a lot of talented guys who drift away because they can't cope up with the top class bowling. So I would say there's time now to tell Shubman Gill to take a break, tell him to rough it out, be more determined, and give Mayank Agarwal, KL Rahul. People like KL Rahul, I will never understand why KL Rahul is not part of this team. For me, he is the best batsman after Rohit and Virat Kohli. So I will never understand why he is not picked in the test side. So, and Mayank Agarwal, poor guy, one failure, and he's out of the reckoning. So the thinking, I don't know, there are favorites, they have their favorites, but I think you should put your team ahead of your favorites.
I completely agree, Satish, with what Ashok sir said, if I may come in. I think KL Rahul is someone we are looking at as the future, because we've got a lot of time with him. If the right time is invested in someone like a KL Rahul than a Shubman Gill, because he's easily probably a great asset to build upon in the next 10 years. He's probably a material who can lead the country as well as we've seen in the IPL. So I completely agree with what Ashok sir said, that why are we not looking at, I mean, for that matter, eventually, like Sunny sir said, that it's difficult to go into these conditions with the ball coming from that tall. But once you get in, I mean, if I may say, if I see Rahane playing the shot that he did, because, as a senior batsman, when the batting lineup is vulnerable, I'm not trying to be critical here, but I'm just trying to be analytical here, where those shots, that you're going to get certain balls which are going to pitch in those areas which are going to be unplayable balls. But then if you get out to certain nothing shots after having settled on the wicket, I think that's where the pain starts. So I would love to see someone like Rahul coming in. You may put Rahane on the top. I mean, he's been given enough opportunities. He's got a great technique. You may consider putting him on opening the innings and giving someone like a Mayank or a Rahul. I mean, Mayank of course opens, but even a Rahul coming in and batting at number 5 or 6, I would love to see that, instead of getting inconsistently exposed to someone like a Shubman Gill back to back. I mean, what are we getting out of it right now? And I completely agree that talent does not have any bearing unless it converts into, certain material, meaningful performances.
I mean, he has played 7 test matches with the average of 12 runs. I think they're already maybe 5 test 2 matches if I compare it with Mayank Agarwal.
It's too much of an award for the present Indian scenario to get someone, so much of opportunities in the present Indian cricket team, which is a very important cricket team. And I think even people like Shikhar Dhawan might probably fall into a better, if you may go back and give Shikhar a chance, he probably may end up scoring or maybe playing more responsibly, if at all. If you're purely looking at a team's perspective of a World Cup one-off final. So I completely agree with that.
No, look, I sort of tend to agree with as far as Mayank's case is concerned, but I think KL Rahul, I would play him any day, but he was given his chances. Unfortunately, he lost out after despite many chances, and then that episode way back, also affected him. But Sunny, I want to move away from the selection. We will go on. Obviously, we have our thing, but there's a particular comment that Virat made after this test match, which I found very interesting. He called for batsmen to be more aggressive. I mean, not stupidly aggressive, but he said we need to show more. The word intent is not used this time, which is what he usually uses. But he's talked about aggression. He said we must show. I will read the exact statement that he has made. What is he's saying the mindset has to be to score runs and find ways to score runs. But look at the man who turned the match for New Zealand was somebody like Williamson, who just stood like a rock in one end and made sure that they get that lead and take that enough time to almost keep India out of the result. India always after saving the game. So what do you make of this particular comment, and what's your take on this?
No, I think it's a comment which he's been making, and even Ravi has done the same, making the same comment. They want to play to win. They want to be aggressive. They want whether losing or winning. They want to go playing positive cricket, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And but at some time in your life, you have to also think as to what the situation is. And that is something that is not being that's not being understood well by our batsmen. Because if you saw yesterday, the sun was out. We had lost a few wickets. There was we needed to consolidate to ensure that we don't lose the test match. And yes, they dropped Pant, and then Pant started batting very well, and Jadeja as well. He came in and started playing his stroke. But then you have to see what Williamson did. He slowed the game down. He knew these chaps are coming here to be aggressive. So if you realize, he brought the Neil Wagner to bowl, bouncers.
I wanted to ask you, Sunny, about that tactics of the captains. I wanted to get you on that.
That's what exactly I'm coming to. He put all of them onto the boundary line, and he slowed down the game. He made sure these people were not, and that was the difference between the Australian captain and him, because he realized if he's going to be aggressive, trying to get them in the slips, there was no slip fielder, if you realize. He said, I'm not going to get them out. I'm going to play on this aggression of theirs. And that's what he did. He played on that aggression. He said, okay, I'm going to keep on bouncing. I'm going to play a safe field. And if you saw, they were getting only 1 run, although they were hitting all those bouncers.
True, correct.
And that slowness also frustrated people like Pant and Jadeja, because that was a very well thought out tactic as the captain that he did, apart from his batting as well. But this was a great move which he did. He slowed the pace of the game. Otherwise, these two could have got some 40, 50 more runs quickly. India would have been in a good position. Now, this is where maturity comes. This is where someone has to tell them that, hey, let's save the test match. Australia made the same mistake in Australia against us, trying not to save the test match, playing aggressive cricket. But everything in test cricket is not about aggression. There has to be sensibility in your approach. There has to be, if you are in a position that you think you're vulnerable, you have to make sure you get out of that position. And that's where India, I think, failed. And getting out for 170 runs in the second inning with the sun out and the conditions not as dangerous as before, it was always going to be a detrimental effect for us at the end of the day.
Another thing when you talk about Virat's comment or Ravi's comment, I think they somehow, if you read between the lines, they are targeting Cheteshwar Pujara, which I feel sorry, because the guy has been phenomenal for us. Okay, he has not got runs in last few innings, but he's the glue which binds us together. You have got stroke players all around him to play. He is the one who holds one end up. As you very rightly said, Kane Williamson held one end up. That is what Cheteshwar Pujara does. First inning also he played a lot of balls. Second inning also he played a lot of balls. Okay, he did not get very many runs, But if he would have stayed put, probably would have drawn the match. Because one end at least is secure when the wickets are falling like 9 pins. So we got to, really respect what he offers to us instead of putting question mark on him. I know days are not very far away when we will see Cheteshwar Pujara out of the team the way he's going, because the way they are, because a lot of people are sitting out, because they're going to be question mark. This series might be the last for Cheteshwar Pujara if he does not live, which will be unfortunate because he has been a phenomenal player, the unsung hero. And India is full of Indian history is full of unsung heroes. He's another one of them, and it's very easy for them to just pick him and just drop him. It is very easy because stars get the preference. The unsung heroes don't get the preference because nobody says anything for them. Even the media does not say anything for them. Media just shuts their eyes and they're chucked out. I hope it is not that when he says playing fast. Even Virat, played like Cheteshwar in the first inning, which we all admired. I remember all of us were going gaga over the way Virat was playing, unlike Virat. So that is the need of the hour. That is Test cricket for you.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Brisbane Test. Kirat, compared to Sunny and Ashok here, you played much later. So you will be in more tune with these, what has become very result oriented. I mean, to yesterday's game, a draw would have been a great result either way. So it's not like the draw is not a good result. It's only a boring draw which we don't want. But if you look at Pujara itself in Australia, the Brisbane Test which Pant won for us, if Pujara had not taken all those blows, just come hit me, do what you want, while other than Pant hitting the runs, we would have been nowhere. So I'm not sure whom Virat Kohli was directing this at, but I think Ashok has certainly got a point. And even as Sunny said, the aggression also has, like Kane Williamson pulled his troops back, he knew when to play which card. That's crucial. So what's your thing on this thing of aggression for the sake of it, or what is your say?
I think I personally think that drawing a match at times is a win because you are succeeding in achieving a particular target. And that's what Test cricket is all about. It's not about a T20 or a 50-over game where you have to score runs, because end of the day, Test cricket is about taking 20 wickets. No matter how many runs you score, unlike a shorter version, you cannot win a Test match unless you take 20 wickets, full stop. And coming from that, then sometimes drawing a match, we've seen someone like a Lakshman and Ishant Sharma in past, playing out the last 9th wicket partnership and bringing out the game and making a game out of it. So, to me, draw is aggression, because aggression does not need to come in stroke play. Aggression needs to come in form of solidity, that no matter what the situation is, like how you just mentioned very beautifully about the blows that Pujara took. Now, it needs aggression to take those blows and still stand solid. It takes a Rahul Dravid to be on the wicket for hours and hours and hours. That's also a sort of aggression. So aggression does not mean that you go out and play your shots or you probably put them in attacking field. For that matter, yesterday, when that ball cocked up of Jasprit Bumrah, where it probably hit Ross Taylor on the helmet, we should have had a short leg and a slip point straight away, because the only way we could have saved or won the game was taking wickets, because no way we could have restricted New Zealand to such a small total in the number of overs left. So then that is aggression to me. Then the aggression should be showed in that field placement, for that matter, because the call of the hour was to take wickets. So given that, I think the modern day cricket, I think we got to differentiate that Test cricket is always going to expect a lot of aggression in form of defense also, because it tests your technique. And I am in absolute agreement with what Ashok said, that you cannot touch Cheteshwar Pujara, because there are so many other players who have not yet even proved themselves to be winning the Test cap. It's so easy, while Pujara has, over the period of time, has really played consistent series for us, has scored a lot of runs. And I completely agree, I wish that he doesn't become the scapegoat of a one-off or probably a series to come, because we don't have that solidity. Sometimes playing out time is also as important as scoring runs in Test cricket. So that to me is a bigger aggression. You would have seen a Steve Waugh batting out a Caribbean bowling attack in Barbados, and that was aggression, because he didn't succumb. He didn't give up his wicket only because he was not able to find that right technique to score runs, but he passed that time. Test cricket is the aggression in Test cricket, according to me, is to know how to bat out spells. So if Jamieson is bowling well, which is phenomenally bowling well, but that's what Test cricket is. You got to in partnership bat out spells and wait for a new bowler coming in and kind of then capitalize on scoring runs. So to me, this entire definition of aggression does not really mean that you have to score faster runs or you have to what Sunny sir said, that I think it was a very smart move to have spread the field. So it does not require aggression. It requires the call of the hour. You have a lot of time, 5 days, 3 sessions in a day. You win session by session. It's like a life. You got to live that. And I think that's where we are missing out a point on. And that's where I think, the captaincy comes in as well. So Test cricket is a very different ball game. To me, aggression is not really just hitting runs aggressively at a good strike rate or setting up an aggressive field.
And another thing, Satish, is see, we won 2-1 in Australia, but we all seem to have forgotten what if we would not have won 2-1, if Ashwin and Hanma Vihari would not have. Yes, they would. They drew that Test match, which we had almost lost. They took blows on their body. For me, they were champions. Yeah. Absolutely. It is. I can compare their performance with the performance of 76 thing or 71 series where they took body blows. And with one was playing with one arm and one was playing with one leg. We have not given them credit. Nobody gives them credit because they're still unsung heroes. For me, they were the biggest heroes of that tour. I understand Rishabh Pant won the Test match. Okay, he would have won the Test match, but we would not have won the series if Australia would have won the Test before that. So these are few things, as Kirat very rightly said. You have to rough it out. As you very rightly said, you have to be determined. You have to grind it out in Test cricket. Test cricket is a different ball game, and believe you me, I'm an example of it. Scoring runs in domestic cricket counts for nothing. You are good enough only if you score runs at the top level. Sunny will vouch for me. We might have been champion players in domestic cricket, but when it comes there, you have to rough it out. You have to be very strong mentally. Your mind and heart has to be very, very strong. And that is what Ashwin and Hanma showed. They showed guts, they showed determination, and they were not scared to take body blows, which helped us win the series. And I would say turned a page in Indian history.
Satish, just coming in, just to give all of you comfort, Cheteshwar Pujara, I mean, Ravi Shastri is very, very fond of him. So it's not that he's against
him. Wonderful.
Even before he left from here, he said the person who he would rely the maximum on is Cheteshwar Pujara. So it's one of the chaps. Naturally, Virat Kohli is always there. But so I don't think we will see such a drastic move to drop him.
Sorry, it has happened before. Yeah. Why I'm feeling scared, it has happened before. It has happened to him before.
Yeah, it can happen because of the, I think, but I'm just saying, just to give you that, the coach is very much for him. So at least just to put you all in comfort level in that manner. About KL Rahul, yeah, we all know how good he is. And unfortunately, he failed when he was given the opportunity, but he's there. I mean, in the English tour, I'm sure he will be one of the guys considered for a spot in the 11 as such. But coming to it, let's just think of the good things that happened in this Test match. I mean, look Absolutely. At it. It was a wonderful Test match, and fortunately, because it had a result at the end of it, that we all enjoyed it. I mean, it was there was everything in it. There was grit and there was movement, and the batsmen had to struggle. The bowlers at the end also had to struggle and keep a good line and length. And I think everything went off brilliantly, and it's been wonderful for Test cricket. And this is the first World Cup. Unfortunately, we didn't win it. But I think India did extremely well to have reached that the final as such. And New Zealand, on that day was better than us. I mean, we all can say whatever we want, but at the end, they did prove that tactically they were better than us and they were more prepared than us.
Thank God for the reserve day, isn't it? The reserve day is what made the difference. If the ICC had not stepped in and with the weather in mind and everything, we had a reserve day in place. Otherwise, we wouldn't have got this kind of a result. And all of us wanted a result. We didn't want a boring draw. A good draw would
So
have
it
been
worked
fine.
well. It worked well. That is the important factor. Yeah.
Sorry, Kirat, you were saying something?
No, I was saying that all in all, I completely agree. It was a beautiful setup because, time we saw some good test cricket after, the back-to-back T20s and one days, this is where you really, really enjoy watching the real form to see the character of the cricketers. And all we are saying here is purely in the spirit because we are too greedy for this very talented Indian team. It's not about being critical. It's about being expectant. It's about how much we feel that, we have the ability, we have the talent, we have all the resources to be a great team. And this all discussion probably, all these points of grit and determination is merely, that how talented we are, but how much applicability we can put in, when it comes to test cricket. It's all about the greed of expectation that we have from this solid Indian cricket right now going on. It's in a very positive frame of mind that we feel that this team has it all to pull off, any sort of championship at the world cricket. We would not have been playing a World Cup Test cricket final had we not played really good, consistent cricket in the past 12 months. So, all in all, I think it's a brilliant sight to see such a Test cricket played in a neutral venue, which we don't usually get to see. We always get to see either hosting or playing home or away. And to have seen a test match played in a neutral venue between the two teams, the top two teams of the world, I think it was a phenomenal sight. And all in all, what we are discussing is the possibility of where we could have probably done a bit to kind of cross the line, as Ashok said, rightly used the word. We could have roughed it up, and that's all we expect out of the boys who we really admire. That's the expectation and the greed out of this solid Indian team.
And another thing, Satish, during our era, we were not expected to win. Now, this modern era, they are the number one team. The entire country wants them to win. They are our heroes. They are our champions. And we expect them to win. And not to forget, last 8 years, they have not won one ICC championship, which is disappointing, to say the least. The kind of team we have, the kind of players we have, the kind of bench strength we have. Only problem I feel is we are not ready to change because the bench strength is overflowing now. I don't know how long can you stop them from coming in. There are people who are just waiting in the wings. Give us an opportunity. We are here. But how long can they keep performing at lower level and not get a look in? So for me, it is a pathbreaker with Indian second 11 going to Sri Lanka. And I've got no doubt in my mind that they're going to outclass the Sri Lankan team because we got phenomenal players in that team. So they will also start pushing this team. We somehow, see, after Australia, we pushed Siraj out. Poor guy won the game for you. We never looked at him. Ishant Sharma is done and dusted. I understand he's played 100 test matches. I still don't know how and why, but he has played 100 test matches. But Siraj is young, energetic, and he's very explosive. And he wants to succeed. He wants to create history. Ishant has already made history. So he is little complacent compared to Siraj, who's more aggressive and positive. And I think time has come to when don't keep stopping these young cricketers. That is what Australia always does. That is what New Zealand always does. Jamieson is a prime example. So somewhere along the line, the think tank will have to think about how long the bench strength will remain on the bench.
All right, gentlemen, let's congratulate New Zealand again on a fantastic victory.
Yes.
I would like to thank you all for joining us on this show. This is only the second of many, as we keep saying. We would love our viewers to come up with ideas on, we just don't want to discuss only series. We can have other topics also to discuss. And on the note of congratulating both teams on their performance in the final and New Zealand for crossing the line when it mattered most. Well done to the Kiwis and to the captain, Kane Williamson in particular. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Hope to see you again soon on this show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Satish. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirat. Bye.
Thank you, sir.